Good evening. You're watching the news tonight, a daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and these are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Disruptions in Parliament, AIA-DMK protests in both houses seeking action on newspaper report against Karthi Chidambaram. Congress seeks to know fate of privilege motion against Union Minister Smriti Irani. In the Lok Sabha, BJP files privilege motion against Congress Chief Whip Jyotiraditya Scindia for making what it calls defamatory remarks against Minister Bandaru Dattatreya. Congress leader Kumari Selja raises issue of alleged gang rapes during the Jat agitation in Murthal in Haryana. Opposition calls for High Court monitored judicial probe. And Sensex makes its best single-day performance in nearly 7 years, surges 777 points over hopes that fiscal steps announced in the budget will pave way for RBI to ease policy. Our top story this evening, the Rajya Sabha today witnessed repeated adjournments due to slogan shouting by AIA-DMK members who wanted action against former Union Minister P. Chidambaram's son, Karthi Chidambaram. Congress members raised the issue of a privilege motion against HRD Minister Smriti Irani on the other hand.
Now, report of the committee.
A day after the union budget was presented, the upper house on Tuesday witnessed repeated adjournments. AIA-DMK members entered the well demanding action against former Union Minister P. Chidambaram's son, Karthi. Amidst the din, leader of opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad raised the issue of privilege motion against HRD Minister Smriti Irani in the post-lunch session. While other opposition members supported the Congress, the government raised objections to the move.
Deputy Chairman to accept our privilege against Union HRD Minister. And it is not once she has misled the people of this country, in both the houses, in the Lok Sabha and also in the Rajya Sabha. This is a very, very serious charge against the HRD Minister.
और ये जल्दी से जल्दी प्रिविलेज जो है उसको आप स्वीकार करिए और इस देश में जो सब कुछ गलत चल रहा है उसका रास्ता निकालने का काम करिए। एक जो मिनिस्टर है वो किस तरह से गुमराह करता है पूरे सदन को, पूरे देश को। इसलिए हम लोग ये जो इम्पीचमेंट प्रिविलेज मोशन है उसके समर्थन में हर सारे लोग सब लोग हैं।
आपके पास कोई तर्क नहीं है। अब जब तर्क नहीं है तो आप तर्क देने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जहाँ तक सवाल है प्रिविलेज मोशन का, उसकी एक प्रक्रिया होती है, उसका एक नियम होता है, उसकी एक सिस्टम होता है। उसके तहत जो प्रिविलेज मोशन आपने दिया होगा या ऑनरेबल मेंबर्स और हैं उन्होंने दिया होगा, उसके बारे में चेयर डिसाइड करेगी।
Deputy Chairman Professor P.J. Kurin informed the House that the motion was under the Chairman's consideration.
Privilege motion has been received in the office. Yes, there is a procedure. There is a procedure. We have to comply with that procedure, and therefore the notice is under the consideration of the Honorable Chairman.
The Deputy Chairman also tried to take up the calling attention motion moved by the opposition and the discussion on motion of thanks to the President's address. However, with the protesting members of AIA-DMK not relenting, the House was adjourned till Wednesday.
House is adjourned till 11 a.m. on Wednesday, 2nd March 2016.
Vishal Daya's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the AIA-DMK has asked for a Prime Ministerial level inquiry into the Karthi Chidambaram corruption issue. Proceedings were disrupted and the Lok Sabha was adjourned in the afternoon after continuous protests by party members.
Lok Sabha proceedings were disrupted twice during question hour on Tuesday after AIA-DMK members created uproar against Karthi Chidambaram over corruption charges. Demanding an inquiry, AIA-DMK MPs cited a media report which claims that the former finance minister's son has invested in real estate across the world.
The slow progress in investigation and trials relating to the former finance minister and the former DMK minister involved in Aircel Maxis scam gives an impression that there are forces in the NDA and various agencies of the government trying to dilute the former finance minister facilitated the Malaysian telecom giant Maxis to Aircel Telecom, possibly from Tamil Nadu businessman. Loot of the two former ministers had yielded several thousand crores illegal wealth to the families of those former ministers remain till today.
Speaker ma'am, we have assured them that if they move a substantive motion which is agreed by you, we will be ready to hold any discussion on the subject. And the point that they are saying that the government did not act, this matter is also, I believe, if I am not wrong, is under the supervision of the Supreme Court and the investigations are on. Government is not there to protect anyone who has done a wrong. No one is above law.
Earlier in the day, both the government and the opposition filed privilege motions against each other. BJP hit back in Lok Sabha by pressing for privilege motion against the opposition party's chief whip, Jyotiraditya Scindia, for defamatory remarks made against Minister Bandaru Dattatreya. Dattatreya has accused Scindia of maligning his image over the Rohit Vemula suicide case. This after the opposition filed a privilege motion against Union HRD Minister Smriti Irani in both houses of parliament against allegedly misleading the parliament by lying about Rohit Vemula's suicide.
ये जो है रूल अंडर रूल 223 because Jyotiraditya Scindia, he has tarnished my image. He has tarnished my image because my request is, with the letter which I have returned to the HRD ministry, I have never mentioned Rohit's name.
The Speaker assured members that the notices for privilege motion are under her consideration.
Notices of question of privilege, Bandaru Dattatreya, Rakesh Singh, Ajay, Supriya Patel and Anupriya Patel and all others. The matter is under my consideration. So,
Lok Sabha was adjourned for the day after AIADMK members continued slogan shouting over the Karthi Chidambaram issue. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, while both houses of parliament were stalled, Karthi Chidambaram has maintained that he's done nothing wrong. He told the media that all his business dealings were transparent and all filings were up to date and complete. The Congress too accused the government of orchestrating protests in parliament to divert attention from the privilege motion against Smriti Irani.
Embroiled in controversy over the Aircel Maxis deal, Karthi Chidambaram, the son of former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram, has denied any wrongdoing. Defending himself, he stated that all his businesses are legally compliant.
All my businesses are completely compliant with regulatory and statutory requirements.
The Congress leaders have accused the government of a political witch hunt. They even allege that protests by AIADMK members in Parliament had been organized by the government to save HRD Minister Smriti Irani.
This is basically political witch hunting and targeting Chidambaram ji and his family. And this is an exercise which this government is well known for. I mean, what more do you expect from them?
ये डीएमके का कुछ नहीं है भैया, ये सिर्फ चाल है हमारे एनडीए का स्मृति ईरानी को बचाने के वास्ते.
The BJP, however, described it as a serious scam and called for a thorough investigation.
When we look into the seriousness of the scam, certainly it is a big scam in India, just like the earlier scams. And I think that it has been done at the behest of Chidambaram. That is what we say what we hear from the media and all that. So the ED is investigating the matter.
According to media reports, Karthi Chidambaram has built a massive empire for himself through investments in real estate across the world. Documents of his financial dealings have reportedly been recovered in the raids carried out by the Enforcement Directorate in relation to the Aircel Maxis scam. Karthi is alleged to have acquired a huge amount of wealth through his dealings between 2006 and 2014, when his father was the Finance and Home Minister. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the opposition has demanded a judicial probe in the alleged gang rape incidents in Haryana, which were reported during the Jat agitation. The issue was raised during 0 hour in Rajya Sabha by Congress member Kumari Sailja. This even as a 3-member Haryana police team is probing the allegations.
The alleged incidents of gang rape during the Jat agitation in Murthal in Haryana was raised in Rajya Sabha today. The opposition has called for a High Court monitored judicial probe. Congress leader Kumari Selja raised the issue during 0 hour in Upper House on Tuesday.
Haryana Sarkar is a mute spectator. It is in a state of denial. Haryana Sarkar ये कह रही है कि यहाँ पर नहीं हुआ. अगर हाई कोर्ट ने इसका संज्ञान नहीं लिया होता, वहाँ पर इतनी बड़ी एक रेप केस, allegedly रेप केस हुआ है. हाई कोर्ट ने उसका नोटिस लेते हुए हरियाणा सरकार को नोटिस दिया है, वहाँ इंक्वायरी के लिए कहा है.
She also brought to attention that survivors and witnesses were reluctant in coming forward as the state government was not taking these reports seriously. She also said that there was a complete breakdown of law and order in the state.
असलियत सामने नहीं आ रही है. सर, हम डिमांड करते हैं कि हरियाणा में हाई कोर्ट खुद इसकी इंक्वायरी करे. हम इसकी डिमांड करते हैं कि जुडिशियल इंक्वायरी होना चाहिए, तभी असलियत सामने आएगी.
The Congress leader also said that property worth crores had been destroyed during the recent quota agitation, but the government and the police had remained mute spectators. Ravindra Shoran's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the issue of sedition cases against some Rajya Sabha MPs also came up during 0 hour. Condemning the action, CPM MP T.K. Rangarajan said his party's history was enough to prove its nationalist credentials.
During 0 hour in Rajya Sabha today, CPIM MP T.K. Rangarajan raised the issue of sedition case filed against Party General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri. He asked the Deputy Chairman if he had any information about this.
All these false lies has been instigated anti-democratic forces in this country, resulted the threat of the Sitaram's life. All these things to divert to the attention of the people.
Jharkhand Mukti Morcha MP Sanjeev Kumar raised the issue of farmers whose land has been acquired by the government. He said such families were still waiting for the jobs promised to them.
जमीन अधिग्रहण करते समय ये वादा किया गया था कि जिन किसानों का जमीन अधिग्रहण किया जा रहा है उनके परिवार के सदस्यों को योग्यता के आधार पर नौकरी दिया जाएगा, पर अभी तक सिर्फ कुछ ही लोगों को नौकरी दिया गया है, बाकी लोगों को मैनेजमेंट लटका के रखा हुआ है.
Later, the uproar by AIADMK members led to the adjournment of the House. Ravindra Shoran's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
News now from the stock markets, which jumped 3.4% today to post their biggest single-day gain in more than 2 years. Market experts saw the then boosted sentiment as a fallout of gains throughout Asia and relief over the government's commitment to its fiscal deficit target for the next fiscal year.
A day after Finance Minister Arun Jaitley affirmed that the government will stick to its fiscal deficit target, benchmark Sensex rose sharply on Tuesday. Also figuring in the expectations is the prospect of a rate cut by the RBI. Some market experts attributed the sudden jump to the government decision to put money in farm sector to revive rural economy.
This is largely because now, people will analyze the budget in detail, they will read the fine print, and I think the initial finding is that this is the first time that this government has put on thrust on rural economy. And you see, last 1 or 2 years when we saw the growth going down, the reason was, one of the primary reason I feel is that there was a lack of rural demand.
Experts also expect the coming monsoon to revive growth and push up demand because of the thrust given by the government towards rural economy. The broader Nifty and the benchmark Sensex gained over 3% each, recovering from falls of around 0.6% on Monday, when a sharp drop in energy stocks offset the broader optimism sparked by the budget. The rupee was trading at 68.2700 to 2750 to the dollar after strengthening to as much as 68.2475 earlier, the highest since the 16th of February. The currency had closed at 68.4250 to 68.4350 on Monday. Gains also came after advances in Asian markets following China's monetary easing and downbeat manufacturing and service surveys that raised hopes of additional stimulus measures. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Time now to take a look at what else has been making news around the country and nationwide. JNU students Umar Khalid and Aniran Bhattacharya have been sent to 14 days judicial custody under the sedition charges slapped against them. The two had surrendered before the police on the 24th of February and have been in police remand since. The police also claims to have identified about 22 people who were present at the controversial event held at the university. The Delhi police has filed a sexual harassment case against TERI Executive Vice Chairman R.K. Pachauri following allegations by a 29-year-old female researcher working at TERI. Pachauri, who is out on bail, has however denied the charges. The complainant has also accused the former Director General of TERI of threatening her after seeing her talking to a male colleague in 2014. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a petition seeking quashing of criminal prosecution, suspension and other actions taken against Gujarat police in the alleged fake encounter killing of Ishrat Jahan in 2004. The hearing is in light of the recent testimony of jailed LET operative David Headley. Gujarat police personnel, including the then DIG DG Vanzara, are facing trial in a Mumbai court for their alleged role in the encounter. Time for us to take a short break. That's lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young and the rulers as well. The chopper has its origin in the Jain philosophy. It tells the story of virtue. Each square, in turn, also narrates some message of wisdom.
Wake up to a complete roundup of news from India and abroad. Politics, strategy, business, sports. Keen analysis to kickstart your day. Watch Breakfast News weekdays at 8 a.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Some international news now, and candidates bidding for their party's ticket for the November US presidential elections face their biggest test yet in the so-called Super Tuesday primaries. Voting is underway in 12 states. So far, both Clinton and Trump have triumphed in 3 of the 4 states each and will look to pull away from their rivals in their biggest test yet.
White House hopefuls, Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Hillary Clinton face another opportunity to pull ahead of their rivals in the so-called Super Tuesday primaries, one of their biggest tests yet. Voting is underway in the 12 states. With a resounding victory in the Nevada caucus last week, billionaire businessman Donald Trump is inching closer to the U.S. Republican presidential nomination.
We will start, before I'm finished, I guarantee you that we will have Apple products made in the United States, not in China. Okay? I guarantee it.
The contests come at a turbulent moment for the Republicans as they grapple with the prospect of Trump becoming the party's nominee. Rivals Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz put in all effort to stop the billionaire.
If we nominate him, let me just tell you, a vote for Donald Trump tomorrow is literally a vote for Hillary Clinton in November. And it cannot happen.
You don't get to fund open border Democrats for 4 decades, and then suddenly when you run for president, discover and announce you're for securing the border.
Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton, who, like Trump, won in 3 of the 4 states, has promised support for the middle class and an alternative to Republican scapegoating. Hillary is hoping to build on her weekend victory in South Carolina.
What we can't let happen is the scapegoating, the blaming, the finger pointing that is going on the Republican side, which not only sets a bad example, which, as the congressman said, at least my mother would have said, stop it. but it really undermines our fabric as a nation. So I want to do everything I can in this campaign with your help to set us on a different course.
Hillary's Democratic opponent Bernie Sanders, who suffered a crushing defeat in the South Carolina primary, is hoping for a good showing to curtail her momentum. On Super Tuesday, 595 delegates are at stake for Republicans and 1,004 for the Democrats. America is due to elect a successor to Barack Obama on the 8th of November. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, the United States-Russia brokered truce in Syria is on the verge of a collapse. Videos of intense fighting between the pro-government and rebel forces have emerged. Russia has also accused Turkey of threatening the fragile ceasefire.
The Syria truce that came into effect on Saturday after huge international effort is now on the brink of collapse. Fresh videos on social media show intense fighting in Syria's Hama province on Sunday and Monday. Both government and opposition forces accuse each other of violating the ceasefire. An official of the Saudi-backed opposition High Negotiations Committee said on Monday that the cessation of hostilities drawn up by Washington and Moscow now faces complete nullification because the Syrian government attacks are violating the agreement. Meanwhile, Russia also blamed Turkey for threatening the Syria ceasefire. Its deputy foreign minister said Russian forces noticed several incidents that are in violation of the peace deal on Syria, especially from Turkey and other countries neighboring Syria.
Конечно, не могут не беспокоить военные приготовления, усилившаяся активность по периметру сирийских границ.
Amid allegations and counter-allegations, the United States has urged Russia not to discuss violations of the cessation of hostilities plan in Syria and instead intensify work on a mechanism to ensure that any strikes in Syria solely target the Islamic State or the Al-Qaeda-linked Nusra Front.
We have agreed that while there have been some number of violations reported on both sides, and we take them all very seriously, we do not want to litigate these in a public fashion in the press. We want to work to eliminate them. And we have agreed on a process by which we will do that.
The United Nations, meanwhile, continues to deliver humanitarian aid to besieged Syrian towns. The third batch of relief materials, loaded in as many as 51 trucks, entered Al-Moyadmeh, a town to the southwest of Syrian capital Damascus, on Monday. The United Nations hopes to expand coverage of humanitarian aid to 1.7 million Syrians before the end of March. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Some more international news now in Global Buzz. The United Nations Security Council aims to vote on a resolution that will expand existing UN sanctions on North Korea in response to its nuclear test on the 6th of January. Last week, the US presented a draft resolution that would significantly tighten restrictions after North Korea's nuclear test and rocket launch and create what it called the toughest UN sanctions regime in 2 decades to the 15-nation council. Israeli forces shot dead a Palestinian during a gunfight in the occupied West Bank as troops fought to rescue 2 soldiers who were attacked after a jeep carrying 2 border guards entered the camp by mistake. According to reports, a 22-year-old man died of gunshot wounds and 6 were wounded in the violence at the Kalandia refugee camp. Clashes erupted between French riot police and refugees and migrants as authorities began destroying makeshift shelters on the edge of Calais, known as the jungle. Police fired tear gas on Monday night in clashes with activists who formed a security cordon to protect the tear-down operation. Thousands of migrants were forced to wait for Macedonia to reopen its border with Greece. Hundreds queued for hours for food at a migrant camp at Greece's northern border. At least 10,000 people found themselves stranded in a small transit camp designed to hold 2,500. Time now for all the sports action in Sports Beat. The The Indian women's hockey team went down fighting 2-3 to slump to their second straight defeat against Germany in their tour to South Africa. The women's hockey team took the lead twice but failed to hold and finally succumbed to a last-ditch penalty corner that gave Germany a narrow win. World Indoor 1500 meters champion Abeba Aregawi was provisionally suspended for testing positive for a banned substance. The Ethiopia-born Swede failed an out-of-competition test conducted by the governing body IAAF. Aregawi, who won the gold at the World Championships in 2013 and 14, requested a B sample to be tested. Newly elected FIFA President Gianni Infantino confirmed that the next two World Cups will take place in Russia in 2018 and Qatar in 2022. The bidding for the two World Cups is still being investigated after a controversial vote in 2010. In the Italian Serie A, Napoli's hopes of winning a first title since 1990 were hampered by a draw at Fiorentina. Fiorentina took an early lead through Marcos Alonso's header, but Serie A top scorer Gonzalo Higuain fired in the equalizer in the next minute. Napoli are second in the league, 3 points adrift of leaders Juventus. Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.
Gyan Chopper is the ancient version of Indian snakes and ladders. This intriguing game was popular among the old, the young, and the rulers as well. The chopper has